You buy me, you buy what I'm going to do. Joker was a bad movie. Why would I lie and say it's good? Everyone thought it was bad in the world. Every article that came out was like, hey, this thing sucks. What was I supposed to do? By the way, I was in it for a second and I made no money. What loyalty am I supposed to have? And the director was mean to me. So I'm supposed to go out there and talk about how great it is. Well, you're actually just misunderstanding the movie. It's actually really good. The Joker doing dance numbers is good. It's good that it doesn't have a plot. It's actually good. It doesn't work. Who the fuck wants to watch that? You know?
So believe me, I get it when everyone says a sequel will be cool. And then the other half is saying, but is it necessary? Both are right. Both, it would be cool, but it wasn't necessary. So we didn't need this. Let's get that out of the way first off. But we got what we got. And I gotta say that what we got at the end wasn't that bad. Is it memorable? Is it gonna be top 50, top 100 films of all time? No, I'm not gonna go, that wild, that crazy and say that either. But if anything, I think we need to give Joker 2 a second chance. How about that? So, there's the animated intro to start the movie with, which was kind of like, I like when they do that. They don't immediately show, like, the Warner Brothers logo in this case, or, like, who made the shit. They just kind of go into, like, immediately the movie, or at least a part of the movie, like they did with, most recently, Fantastic Four First Steps, which I really liked. No, the big Marvel fucking animated thing they go into. Usually knows, like, immediately into the movie, this is a part of the shit, boom, okay, great. I loved it, because I thought it was, like, a teaser to, like, something else from Marvel, and then we get into the fucking Fantastic Four. No, they just start right away with the movie. So, right now, Joker 2 starts off with an animated intro, which it's long, it's played out, it's drawn in like the Looney Tune-esque style of, art and comedy and slapstick and shit. Except in this one, Joker, or his shadow, the enigma, the persona that is Joker, not Arthur, is actually killing people. Just imagine people actually dying in like the Looney Tunes universe, like when I don't know, when Bugs Bunny gets shot in the fucking face. No, sorry, he never got shot. I think when Daffy Duck gets shot in the face by fucking Elmer Fudd, right? And imagine instead of his bill getting blown backwards to the back of his head, imagine like his brain splattering, or like his fucking bill ending up on like Bugs, and Bugs splattered in blood. Like half his bill dangling off one of his ears, something like that. That's pretty much the kind of violence they implemented into the Looney Tune-esque Joker intro they gave for the movie. It was well drawn, it looked good. It was a different kind of intro, but I think also with that intro, they kind of gave away the movie where the character, literally, or the shadow, which Arthur Flex now lives in the shadow of Joker, the character gets carried away and becomes a bigger thing than he'll ever be. So it's already showing or alluding to two split individuals, Arthur Fleck and then there's Joker. Does one really interlope or belong to the other? No, they're separate entities apparently. But, still in Arthur's mind, you can debate as, we go later into the film. But I like that. It was clever, at least. A very clever start. Because it's the Joker gets away with killing. The Joker's the one that people really want to see, taking center stage. Arthur's trying to, fill in. But Joker puts him in a suit and leaves him to get beat up by the cops when Joker's trying to go out to do something else or cause more trouble, basically. But Arthur has to suffer the repercussions in real life, getting beat up by the animated cops in the intro. Getting locked up in prison and shit. Meanwhile, people just want more Jokers some way, somehow. So, there's that, and I think, it kind of alludes to the pretty much whole basis of the movie, basically. And if you remember, or was kind of concerned like I was for the health of Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker this time around, imagine that level of skinny, but somehow even skinnier, so skinny that his shoulder blades look like he's carrying swords at his sides. They're so pointy and sharp and just jaggedly pointed out. He is beyond skinny and smokes like a motherfucker. Smokes like a goddamn chimney. He's just every fucking possible scene almost. Just imagine him something in his fucking hand that's like two fingers up with something in between, or just a cigarette dangling out of his fucking mouth, which I guess was his coping mechanism for the sake of, well, if I don't have my cigs, I'll go crazy. I'll go Joker again. Kind of thing, right? Either that or the laugh to kind of cope with everything. So who knows? Maybe that's speaking to something else that I might have missed out on. So if I ever run into fucking Joaquin Phoenix in real life, I would hope he's not an avid or active smoker like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's smoking as a result of all the smoking he had to do for fucking Joker 2 and 1, of course. So he did smoke a little bit there. But I would like to maybe kind of find that out in person because, of course, he's very hard to find or like kind of, encounter in person in the wild like that. A wild Joaquin Phoenix has appeared kind of thing, right? I'd like to see if he actually does smoke, or as a result of Joker 2 that he starts smoking, or if he's actually smoking in Joker 2, because it does look like he takes a couple of drags and pulls. Maybe, who knows, I don't know. So here's why, at least in this part, you can kind of see like, this could have been maybe like a legal drama, like a courtroom drama, whatever. But having fun with the character at the expense of DCEU and all that. The counselor assigned to him has the tall task of trying to build up an insanity or split personality case as Arthur's only defense for becoming Joker, tapping into that persona, that personality at that time that caused him to kill the 5 people as he's been pinned for, which, doesn't help that he confessed to 3 of them live on Murray Franklin before he blew Murray Franklin's brains out. And then Gary, the small guy that was in the apartment at the time he killed Randall and beat his fucking head into the wall, gets taken into police custody to be asked about what happened. But we don't find out about that till way later on. So they got to build a case as far as it seems simple enough, but then also, are you that insane that you couldn't control yourself to kill 5 people like that? And then, of course, no one knows about the mother being, suffocated with a pillow in the hospital, which again was the 70s, implied. They got no cameras around to check in the room, play back footage. Oh, what happened to the mom? Oh, she croaked. Okay, good. We got one bed freed up. Fucking send her the next body. Kind of thing, especially because they were broke and living on state government assistance, so they're definitely looking forward to getting the fucking mom out the bed as soon as they can to the morgue and turn her to ashes, and then whatever happened to her body too. That's the thing. Well, who knows? Worst of times, who knows? So the counselor is trying to play off the split personality defense for Arthur, or I think how she defined it, like a fragmentation of Arthur that committed the crimes. There's also the, I believe, facility-appointed doctor that tries to tap in to Joker separately from Arthur. And that's when he confesses, or admits at least, that he's always hearing his mom's voice in his head, all the time. So that says a lot, too, as far as he knows very well that he killed his mom. No one else does. The hospital don't even know. They just assume she croaked. And I guess that maybe haunts him in a sense, or is that part of like an actual sense of guilt, admission to it? Who knows? It does play up later on, and we do eventually confirm that the mom wasn't so great either, even though that's already established in Joker 1. So within the universe, there was actually a TV movie made on the life and times and or the crimes of Joker / Arthur Fleck, which apparently gave the viewing audience a way of sympathizing and or making Joker popular, which then leads to Joker himself clarifying that he's never been allowed to watch it, which might mean or lean towards they kind of make him look like sympathetic enough to be like people can feel bad for him and or be like, well, Murray did get what he fucking deserved at the end of the day, because look at what they did to this kid growing up and turning him into this fucking werewolf as he, came out to be. They also touch upon this when we get introduced to fucking Harley Quinn / Lady Gaga. She says she watched the shit 20 times when they meet, and they meet outside the hallway because, based on his good conduct, he's allowed to join like the choir group that's inside the fucking main building that has no access to, but Harley Quinn is there because she was admitted to for setting her apartment building on fire That's what she says, at least. She says she watched the movie like 20 times and felt it was great. He was, a hero from that point onwards, and she's been obsessed with him. And that's when, again, he keys in, okay, I guess because they won't let me watch it. It's kind of cute, honestly, their whole first interaction. Because she does say all the things she's done and how she was, she grew up in the same neighborhood as him. And she was always misunderstood. Dad was dead, a piece of shit. And all this shit that happened to her that led her into being in the same facility as Joker now. So it is cute in the kind of like, I did crazy shit. No way, I did this too. But then I did that on top of that. It's like, oh, I would have done that to the body. Kind of like crazy, dark kind of way of bonding between the two. It's you watch it, it's cute. And it's not so bad as far as like Gaga's acting's like somewhat convincing. I'm not gonna come to the defense of Gaga. I do like her music. I think she's cool. I mean, I loved her on Howard Stern when she did that however many years ago, Edge of Glory, the live performance. If you've never seen it, YouTube it. That's a really nice version, just her and piano. But as we move along, you'll see why I'm not so in love with Gaga, but I don't hate Gaga either as a part of the movie, a key part of the movie as part of the cast. We also get surprised more than a couple of times because, again, this is a musical-esque kind of movie. We do get the pleasant surprise of hearing Phoenix singing, which I know he's done before, with the Johnny Cash movie and shit, but this time around, as Arthur Fleck, he's got a pretty decent singing voice. Once he hears and sees on the TV, back in prison, that Harvey Dent, now we're introduced to, wants to seek the death penalty for Arthur Fleck and the crimes he committed as Joker, or Joker himself committed, he breaks out into the song, I don't know the name of the title, but For Once in My Life is how it starts off. In his head, though. So it's not like, they're dropping everything to, like, move chairs around and all the gang members and shit are, like, dropping their shanks and, like, just forming a circle to dance and kick their feet up like they're, the Rockettes and shit. But it's in his head. Because as he hears Harvey Dent plead for the death penalty for him, he immediately starts transitioning or escaping into his dreamland of what he'd like to do or express and or say, I guess, as Arthur Fleck would on the inside, but he's too busy keeping up the persona of Joker for everybody out there that's actually paying attention to him because he's like cool enough with the guards where they're like, hey, Arthur, you got a joke for us today, something like that, which is funny. They never call him Joker. I did just realize that now. They never call him Joker. They say, Arthur, you got a joke for us today? Hey, Arthur, you're going to make us laugh today kind of thing. Hey, Arthur, have you earned your cigarette today kind of thing, right? Breaks down the song. The crackling in his voice sells it even more as far as the sincerity of, I would say, Arthur's trying to break through the shell of the exterior, which is Joker, that everybody loves and heralds so much and or just sees as cool, if anything. So I'd say the crackling in his voice symbolizes that shit. And he's not totally off-key, like bad or anything, just like the crackling shit, which I'm sure is a part of his actual voice. It's like a nice little touch. It makes it all more sincere as far as like Arthur maybe kind of already regretting being Joker, let's say. He doesn't answer any of the other inmates around him when they keep asking him how's he feel about being told that he's going to potentially be getting the death penalty. Or people want him to die, basically. He doesn't answer at all while he's singing. He's just ignoring them. He's just doing his fucking thing. While he's singing, they also cut to this, now after watching a couple of times, they cut to who's potentially going to be the next Joker, or at first I thought just somebody like grinning kind of crazy and then kind of looking at Arthur kind of jealous that he's getting all the attention or he's kind of cool-ish with the guards like that. And then it cuts to him. It seems like he realizes or he snaps out of it as far as being in dreamland, in his Jokerland, in his head at least. He's right outside in the rain pouring on him and he's doing the crying laugh that he does because it seems like he just realized, oh shit, people want me to die based off what I did. So it's like that heavy crying laughing he does from the first one, but this time's like it's nonstop. So I guess he just put him outside to fucking laugh in the rain, to get it out of his system, basically. And once more, we give a big shout outs to Tim Dillon for his appearance now in the movie. We get to see him finally, his big fat ass, his big, handsome looking fat ass. I forget if he usually wears his hair like that, or I think they gave him a cowlick because he's one of the fat security guards, and I gotta emphasize, like, really fat, because, there's no hiding that from Timmy. But much love to Tim. He's one of the fat guards that's about to let Arthur out. I forget exactly how that scene played out, but he's there. He's got a copy of not just a TV movie, but now it seems like a biography written about Arthur and or Joker. He's got a copy of the book. Arthur's on the phone talking, I think, to his counselor. And then he kind of whispers to Arthur, hey, Arthur, when you're done, da-da-da, whatever. Then he whispers to the other guard behind Arthur's back, but Arthur can hear him. He's like, this book's going to be worth a fortune when they fry his ass. After, it's made the news that Harvey Dent wants him to get the death penalty. So it implies he's going to get the chair, if anything, right? It's a funny scene. I'd say legit, not just because I'm a Tim Dillon fan, but I think legit it's probably the funniest scene in the whole movie, if not one of, because the whole dynamic, how it plays out, the line, the way it's delivered, and then you see Arthur hears him say it. He looks at him like he's going to kill him, but he doesn't, of course, because he's got another guard on top of him, like hovering and shit. He finally does autograph the book, but it seems like he was going to write something nice to him, but he scribbles it out at the top, and instead he ends up writing, I hope you get cancer, with a big smiley face. And no Arthur, no Joker, no nothing too, so it could have just been one of his kids, if anything, that wrote that in the fucking Tim Dillon's copy of the fucking Joker biography, pretty much. So I love that part. I would have thrown you fat pig or something like that. I hope your pig ass gets cancer or something like that. Or it could have been like, I hope you get colon cancer, because of how fat he was and how fat he is. In real life, Tim Dillon, God forbid he does, in real life, I'm saying the character in the movie could have gotten colon cancer, and, because of how cancerous he is on the inside, weighing the profit off a man's death, basically, regardless of whether he's a murderer or not. But I just thought that whole interaction was funny. So shout out to Tim Dillon. Love him very much. Manifesting, if anything I can, in real time, IRL, shout outs Tim Dillon for something I could do for him that made him laugh, or who knows what. Then there's a part where Gaga and or Harley Quinn, Lee Quinn I think they call her, like officially in the movie, and Arthur are sitting together in like a movie room in the prison or facility, whatever they fucking call it, I don't know. But they're sitting together, being, a very shy, couple watching a movie. She's bored. She's like, hey, let's get out of here. He's like, I can't. They're going to shoot me if I try to escape, basically, which, I can't blame them if they do. So she gets the bright idea, no pun intended, of going to the back of the room where there's a bunch of papers. She lights a match, sets it on fire, and then the movie room's on fire because, of course, one of the crazy folks behind them has to know there's fire or whatever. They're all fucking, up in arms, running around the place trying to figure out, hey, we get it, you're crazy, but maybe not, don't be stupid, just run to the front door or something like that. They're all losing their minds like that and letting the fire build up. That leads into the second song of the film, or the second musical piece, as far as Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix performing. It's not bad, but it's them singing as they're escaping or trying to escape the main building facility. But they make it to the front fence with all the journalists out there trying to see if they can or can't escape off the high fence. Of course, they get caught. And then he's thrown to solitary confinement for 2 weeks because of him trying to escape. But credits to Joaquin Phoenix, if we don't sing his kudos enough. Like, he looks like he's maybe not one of those method actors, but one of those, like, physical actors. Like, hey, guys, if you need to, just, beat me up a little bit. Don't kill me, obviously, but, like, toss me down these stairs, but try not to break my neck kind of thing. Because he's getting, throughout the movie, not just this part, he's getting tossed around, he's getting dragged, he's getting flung, just flying downstairs, dragged by the arm. Like, I'm sure he had, if he didn't have rotator cuff issues after, like, he had something, like, sprained or something, because the way they was, like, and he was probably, like, begging him to do it, like, no, do it, so he can sell the scene. Once he gets thrown to solitary confinement, another song breaks out. But I'd say this one would be Gaga's, like, standout piece, because it's her best vocally. She gets to show her range and how good of a voice she has. Short and sweet. We appreciate that too, even though it's the third song already. Like, I forget, like maybe an hour within a movie or maybe 45 minutes. And the best looking musical piece as well, because it's playing out in his head, of course. He's imagining this while in solitary confinement. They're dancing on the rooftop under a moonlit night. And again, it's a very sweet sounding. It opens with that one piece that plays in his head after he kills the first three guys in the first Joker movie. But then they flesh into a little song with Gaga adding to it, singing on top of it. Sounds really nice. He wakes up in his cell in real time, outside of, Jokerland in his head, and it's Harley. She's in his cell. And he's like asking, is this real? He's like, yeah, it's me for real, legit. Can't you smell me? I smell like you, basically. Who believes in showering in this fucking place? And then she starts talking about we're going to build a mountain. Because once they get out, he needs to get off his medication. And then she's going to get out soon, too, because they're saying that he's a bad influence on her. So they're going to let her out so that she can have a chance at building a life after being in a crazy bin alongside Joker, of all people. All this so that she could fuck him. So now he's in solitary confinement legitimately, but now when I think back and then I wonder, did they legit fuck, or was this in his head as well? That's not made clear. I think maybe they actually did because she was so infatuated with Joker. Not Arthur Fleck, but Joker, the persona, the character, right? They fuck. And it's also one of the funnier parts of the whole movie, I guess, unintentionally. I guess they were going for awkward, but also pretty funny how it all builds up and shit. She'll only fuck him with the Joker makeup on. So as she pulls out the little fucking brown bag full of makeup, like, oh, you brought makeup? Puts it on him, his own little fucking makeup artist on set and shit. So I guess they saved that artist in real life the job of having to do that again. Doesn't half-ass job, of course. Lady Gaga, she's not perfect. But she says it because she does it because she wants to see the real him. Of course, she only sees him as Joker with the makeup on, so it only makes sense to be in the cosplay and play it up like that. Hey, I'm gonna fuck the Joker. I might as well have the fucking full ensemble on, the full face mask on, right? Of course, Arthur's so awkward and never fucked or touched himself. He never got beyond that. So of course he has to ask her to do it for him, as far as like put his erect clown penis into her. She does it gladly because it's Joker. He's got the face paint on already. And of course, knowing Arthur Fleck, to no one's surprise, he can only last like 6 or 7 pumps before he busts. And I wouldn't say some of the worst acting by Joaquin Phoenix, but instead of, like thrusting into her, it looks like he's doing shoulder shrugs and she happens to be there, like kind of spotting him with her hips wrapped around his waist kind of thing. It's so awkwardly funny. Unintentionally maybe, but it's awkwardly funny. So I really like that. I like that part because of how it played out, not because, I want to see Joker fucking or like two crazy motherfuckers fucking like that on screen. That leads into a sit-down interview he has with I forget his name in real life, but he's pretty funny, or I've only seen him in funny comedic parts, but he plays a straight guy pretty good too. He's got a sit-down interview with a British guy who is intent on pressing him the whole time, because again, the whole defense for Arthur is that he's suffering from multiple and or split personalities, but this guy's not buying into it. He's like, you fucking did it, how could you fucking plead insanity and be like, well, it wasn't me that did it. It was this person inside of me that's not me. Obviously, please. Believe me, everybody. Like a Geraldo Rivera. Or Geraldo. Is it Geraldo Rivera? I'm Spanish. I should know that. Kind of like that. Like, purposely pressing, pushing buttons, like knowing what to say to kind of trigger the guy into getting, the content they want, because it's all about the content at the end of the day, right? And this guy's really digging deep into Arthur, as far as like at some point, I forget the exact quote, but he says basically, okay, so are we supposed to believe that inside this one body, there's a poor, stupid, low IQ Arthur Fleck, but then when it's convenient enough for him to turn it on, there's this genius, evil, violent, fucking clown, killing motherfucker Joker, right? We're supposed to believe that shit? And whenever anything gets too heavy for him to handle, or they call him out on his shit, it almost seems like it's immediately his cue in his mind, at least, to break out in the song. So the whole interview is probably playing out in real time, and he's probably burying himself further because the counselor too is like, oh, we need to take a break, and they fucking deny her that right. He breaks down the song again, but this time it's singing directly to the camera. He's singing directly to Harley Quinn and how much he loves her already when they barely know each other, and they fucked once and he lasted like under 10 seconds, which is like embarrassing if you ask any fucking guy. I'm not admit to it, but it's embarrassing. But he's singing directly to her. I'll sing to her, as he fucking says. Again, not bad sounding too. This is implied with Harley already being out of the facility and watching him on TV as he's singing to her. So maybe he did, maybe he didn't actually do that during an interview, break out in the song like that. She's watching out on the street outside of a TV shop. She takes a fucking trash bin, breaks the glass, and takes one of the TVs home with her, even though, stupid, you unplugged the TV where you were watching him do that. They don't have VCRs at the time, so how are you going to watch it back? You had to just stay there patiently and be like, we'll be right back after these messages kind of thing. And you could have left it at that. You didn't have to break and enter a fucking TV shop, take the TV, and think, oh yeah, right, I need electricity, I need to pay the bills, I need to fucking... But then it's also implied she's rich. So maybe at that time she was afforded the technology to like record it and play it back and watch it multiple times. I don't know how that worked back then in that time frame. See, I'm not that old, so I wouldn't know what they did before VCRs. We cut back to the courtroom. The court-appointed psychiatrist is testifying that he did interview Arthur for, he says, about 2 hours. Then the counselor, when she's cross-examining him, clarifies that it was 89 minutes exactly that he spoke with Arthur. And that psychiatrist is alleging that he's just acting out. He's not legit Joker. There's no multiple personalities. At most, he is sad, depressed, indifferent to others, and socially inept. So basically a soy boy, a weak-ass bitch, and just in his feelings because, mommy hated me so much. Or, they were meeting me at Starbucks, they misspelled my name on a cup. I don't know, that fucking day. And that caused me the Joker, werewolf out kind of thing. That's what he's saying. And that would seem like the more, based on how much more we get to know Arthur as the movie develops, that seems to be more of the case. But the counselor, even though it's her job to defend Joker and try to see if maybe, okay, let's not even touch the death penalty, but like life in prison or something like that. Do her job, basically, right? So she can get her press up. It's all about, salvaging her name and being like, hey, that's the Joker attorney. She got him off with just life in prison or like 50 years instead of like getting fried to death on national TV, something like that. So she says to him, why didn't you ask him about his past physical and sexual abuse that's been on file that you could have pulled up, you could have brought up and discussed with him during the 89 minutes you spoke with him, a minute shy of 90, because that's too much for Joker, right, apparently. And that would justify, maybe not so much justify, but at least people could see why he turned out the way he did and why he might use a Joker as an escape within himself to do those things, but deep down inside he's just still Arthur Fleck. And if anything, the people that he killed, quote-unquote, provoked him into doing so. Basically, it's his only defense in terms of, well, we saw you kill a guy live on TV. We can't pretend we didn't. And you admitted before you blew that guy's head off that you killed 3 guys on the subway that people have been looking for. You had detectives on your ass looking to question you anyway, but you didn't just confirm and admitted to it live on TV. And then we go to your apartment and we find a dead guy with his head bashed in, scissors in his eyes, and clearly stabbed in the neck too. So it's like, what? Everybody that he killed provoked him in some way, shape, or form, even though, and this isn't me or my job, this is a fucking attorney's job to do so, even though everybody did provoke him, because remember, the 3 Wall Street guys were harassing a woman on the subway, and it's not like he stepped in and tried to save her, but he just started laughing because that's his condition whenever he gets stressed out or something's like too much for him to handle at the moment, which caused them to bully him, beat him up, and then he happened to have the gun on him. The piece on him like that, thanks to Randall, who he also killed Because remember, in the first one, he's one of the guys of everybody, in the crew involved that's like a dick to Arthur, except for Gary, the short one, the legit physically short one, gives him the gun just to fucking say, he bought that off me. He wanted a gun the whole time and shit, like denied giving him one for free for his own protection as he tried to play Arthur is stupid for that. There's that. And then Murray Franklin, he did provoke Arthur in the sense of like that was his hero. He envisioned him as a father figure. He saw himself as a comedian one day, getting so famous enough that he'd make it on the Murray Franklin and be embraced by Murray Franklin just to see his hero shit on him, make fun of him at his expense with his terrible fucking 5 minutes that he did on stage at an open mic after Sam Morril. Again, shouts to Sam Morril for a very funny set. A free funny set like that he gave to us in a movie back in 2019 when, again, I'm not going to say Sam Morril wasn't famous, but I think he was more on the come up and or establishing himself. And they said, hey, we got this one comedian, let him do his thing. We're going to like bend time and just say a comedian that exists now existed back then in the 70s too. So I don't know how that played out, but whatever. Shouts to Sam Morril though, point being. So everyone did provoke him, but did it merit them being killed because he was, again, provoked? I don't know. I can't really speak on that, but it's a movie, of course. Let's not get too carried away. Meanwhile, all this is going down. Arthur's just worried about looking good for the audience, which, welcomes him to the courtroom with a loud standing applause, ovation and shit. And, of course, Lady Gaga and or Harley Quinn. It's hard to call her Harley because she's barely Harley at all in the movie like that. His old social worker's called to the stand. Remember the one in the first movie where, like, he comes in, basically... he's another name on the list that she's got to see throughout the day, like ask how you doing, how's it going, did you kill somebody, haha, just kidding, are you on your meds though, motherfucker. She's there, and basically they're to talk about his journal, because apparently he had to hand in his journal to her every time. She had to review it to see if like he wasn't like writing about wanting to kill himself or anybody else, basically. She said that it was, in a nutshell, full of absolutely unfunny, shitty jokes, and he would make up relationships in his head, which happens to feature Zazie Beetz. If you remember from the first movie, I can't remember her fucking name in the movie, but, shouts to Zazie Beetz always. I'll be drooling like that anytime I mention that woman's name. She's so fucking fine. And married, but, lucky man that tied down Zazie, not tied down, you know what I mean, but, engaged and married and, eloped, of course, with Zazie Beetz. So yeah, she's shitting on his journal, saying it was full of bad jokes and all these pretend girlfriends in his fucking head. Really doubling down on these absolutely unfunny trash jokes. What a fucking hack. He should have killed himself on stage, if anything, basically. And then that leads to, out of the courtroom, he's back in his holding cell while the trial goes on. And his lawyer, his counselor, is basically like, I found this out about your girlfriend, the one in your mind, well, the one in real life at least, the one obsessed with you, Harley. She's not who she says she is. She pretended to go crazy enough to be self-admitted into the facility at the same time as you. She's really from the Upper West Side, which I didn't know Gotham had an Upper West Side. I thought, for a second, we've been in reality, this New York. Because at one point, too, they say the state of New York versus Arthur Fleck instead of the city of Gotham or the state of Gotham. I don't know. Because as far as I've been made aware of now, Gotham is apparently or in New Jersey, looking out towards New York. It's its own thing within New Jersey. So I don't know how that works. But apparently it's the state of New York against Arthur Fleck. So again, they're in the holding cell, and she's like, she's from the Upper West Side, this little girlfriend of yours. She is not crazy. She plays the part, and she comes from a rich family. Her dad's not dead. He's a doctor. So she just pretended to be sick to be there with you at the same time, conveniently enough. That cuts to him while he's openly denying, she gets me. She understands who I am. We love each other. I love her and shit. That cuts to another, now clearly in his head, made up variety show, kind of like a Sonny and Cher vibe kind of thing, where he's the host and she's the co-host, and she's like in a nice frilly like Technicolor dress, and he's in the Joker suit and everything. They're singing together. But then at some point, because she's got the powerful voice and the nice long legs and everything, and very easy on the eyes, basically the eye candy, right? She starts taking center stage, making it about her. And then he's upset in this fantasy about like, wait, I'm the star. You're supposed to be focused on me and singing about me and singing to me and shit. When they do a retake, because she messed up the first take for this show in his head, she pulls out the piece and fucking blasts him in the guts. And I guess that's symbolic of the truth bomb that the lawyer dropped on him about his, girlfriend, pretty much. That she's really just out for the sake of being with Joker, being in bed with Joker. And the truth being revealed to him was kind of like getting shot in the guts, pretty much. And ruining this whole image of love he built in his head, him and Harley, basically. That carries into him. It could be him fantasizing or just imagining again that Harley goes to visit him in jail. One of those conjugal visits things through the glass and shit, right? Where he's already upset, more let down than upset. Like, why'd you lie to me? Kind of thing. And then she's got to be like, well, I'm not lying. I am rich. I come from this family and shit. But I'm not lying about loving you and, wanting to be with you and shit. Then all of a sudden after them fucking, because that's what happens naturally, because fucking was intended for that, she's pregnant. Or she said she's pregnant. And then that breaks into the most unlikely to use in the movie, but the sweetest version, coincidentally enough, of this song from the Carpenters. They Want to Be Close to You, which, rest in peace to Karen Carpenter, who sung that. Already beautiful sounding song thanks to her. But I'd say of all the covers that are out there, that I'm sure there are plenty of and well known and shit, Gaga really excels at this one, which is more like not so much putting on a performance with the song, but more like letting her voice shine and take center stage. Because this is really a sweet sounding version of Close to You. As awkward as it looks like in a conjugal visit type of situation, she's singing through the glass and all that. It's really sweet. But then the illusion of it is broken because it seems like it wasn't real, because then it just cuts back to him in his holding cell after his counselor left already, and him dancing the way he did when he killed the 3 guys on the train. Remember when he ran into the fucking project building, like park bathroom, dancing and shit too? After having killed, he plays the piece in his head and he's like just dancing and kind of like in his high, in the vibes of like Joker and shit. Yeah, so that was made up in his head apparently. Like, she's pregnant, she loves him, of course she's there for him for real and shit, and the song and dance, it was all fake. Yes, we get the very pleasant visual surprise, the visual eye candy that is Zazie Beetz back. Remember, she was his neighbor in the first one. So now she's back to testify, and apparently she was dragged into court to do so because she had left after the events occurred. She tried to escape from the city, but people recognized her based off the TV movie they did about him, and were kind of harassing her, stalking her. So she felt like she had the need to appear in court and testify because people wouldn't leave her alone about it, or kept wanting to ask her like, oh, were you really with Joker? What's it like living next to a fucking killer kind of thing, a psychopath like that? So she ends up confessing that Mom, and or Penny, Arthur's mom, confessed to her at some point because I don't know if she used to babysit her daughter or what, but they got close enough where she confessed to Zazie that she lied about the whole thing about calling him happy, and that she had told him that he was, born to make the world a better place and bring joy to people and shit. She lied about that part entirely, and even confessed to her that his laugh, his condition as a result of his physical and sexual abuse while being brought up under Penny's watchful eye, or watchful black eyes, because she was getting beat up by the boyfriends like that, was a stupid laugh, was a dumb laugh. She hated the fucking laugh. But she said that to him because he wouldn't stop crying when he was little, and she said all that to be like, well, here's something so you can shut the fuck up finally. Hey, It turns out you were born to make a world a better place, which far from the truth. As soon as she starts diving back into all that shit and revealing more that we don't get to hear, then he's back into Fantasyland. Because for him now it's time to take center stage and be Joker, embody it as well. And he envisions beating Harvey Dent to death with a stool to the fucking head. And then he makes it to where the judge is at, avoiding, completely ignoring Zazie in this case. How could you, even in Dreamland, how could you ignore Zazie Beetz? She's so fucking beautiful. But I digress. He makes his way over to the judge and takes the gavel and starts bashing his brains in his fantasy. While Gaga's in the background singing as well and dancing on a table and shit. Hearing all this stuff about his mom and how she really felt about him apparently just, makes him come back to reality, real time in the courtroom, and then snap. And he's like, I can't take this anymore. I'm done. And immediately on the spot, he fires his lawyer, the pretty counselor. Or, I'd say milfy counselor. Kisses her again for the second time because I forgot to mention he had kissed her on the lips before he did an interview with the British guy. I guess stress relief, whatever. Kisses her again after firing her and pretty much to confirm goodbye. And gives the people what they want, apparently. They wanted him to be Joker in the courtroom as he was in real life with the murders and shit. So now he's playing up to the audience. Now he's playing up to Gaga. Being Joker now, legally representing himself from this point onwards. So now that Joker's able to legally represent himself after the judge agrees, but only under the condition that, okay, I'll let you wear the suit, I'll let you wear the makeup, but don't do this to be political or divide the crowd like that or to start up a fucking riot in the courtroom. God damn it, or I'll bash you in the head with a gavel like you probably imagine doing to me, you fuck. Now that he's able to represent himself conveniently enough, they bring it in to ask questions of and what happened, and since he was the only witness to one of the murders at least, besides the one the viewing audience got to see when he popped Murray Franklin in the head, we get Gary Puddles. Who's Gary Puddles? Who the fuck is that? Gary. He is the short guy from the film that watched Arthur bash Randall's head into the wall and has been traumatized ever since, clearly. Shout outs to Lee Gill. Hopefully I'm getting his name right. It's actually funny too, again, just like it was funny that part when, he just killed Randall and he says Gary can go, but Gary's too short to reach the fucking top lock of the door. He's like, Arthur, can you help me? And he goes, it's funny. That part was always funny to me, still is always, but this one too, because apparently he didn't know Gary's last name was Puddles. So it just clicks in his head like, Puddles. And he just goes off this whole tangent of like, Puddles? Are you sure it's Puddles? Really? It's Puddles? And he starts doing the southern accent while he's like asking him questions, or it's time to examine the witness as Joker. It's like, Mr. Puddles. It's silly. But besides Joaquin as Joker, Lee Gill as Gary Puddles easily gives the best performance throughout the whole film itself. It actually makes me tear up too. The way he's, testifying to the events occurred. Basically, after that, Arthur starts screaming he's a free man. He's not going to be held back no more. No one's going to tell him what to do or scare him anymore. And especially not those goddamn fat, stupid guards back at Arkham like they've been doing whenever he gets a little out of hand or he gets a little too handsy with one of them and shit. This leads to Gary starting to cry in the courtroom because he admits to being in fear ever since he saw Arthur kill Randall the way he did. And it's a really touching, part because, again, this is why he steals the show. He's like really like bringing you in close to how he's feeling because he admits it's the first time he ever acknowledged and or felt that short or that incapable of protecting himself. He's not able to sleep anymore since. He's scared everywhere he goes and reminds Arthur that he was the only one that was ever nice to him while working as a clown. And in return, Gary was the only one that was ever nice to him too while he was there, except, besides Randall, besides the other clowns that were there for hire. Shouts to Brian Callen, of course, with a nice little joke back in Joker 1. But yeah, it's really touching. Then he's dismissed. He's asked to leave the stand and shit. He walks off the way he does. Shouts to Lee Gilligan. He did a really good job with that part. Easily best performance besides Joaquin. And yeah, I'm saying him on top of fucking Gaga. Because I'm sorry, Gaga wasn't that great. Besides being able to sing a couple of times really well throughout the movie. Outside the courtroom on the ride home in the paddy wagon, again, we're back to Joker laying in his head. He's imagining a whole 3-part song dance with Gaga, feeling now free to be himself, free to really divulge or really give in to being Joker, because it seems like they're going to sentence him to death anyway. So why not be Joker, as I'm sure he's comfortable being? And it's showcasing him tap dancing, and it's a great scene. A little too long. A little too much song and dance, literally. But goddamn, can that man sing and dance, conveniently enough. It's unfair that he's a trifecta, and on top of that, he can act really good and get lost in the character like that. It's all fine and dandy in his head, the way it's playing out, until it's time to step back into Arkham, where the guards are pissed because they got called stupid and fat. They drag him back to the very back of the prison. They're going to strip him of the fucking suit and wash the makeup off, apparently, but because they're pissed now he's getting extra harsh treatment. He's getting beat up. He's getting flung around, tossed around. And he's so frail and skinny, too, it looks like everything could absolutely hurt him in real life, apparently. So I don't know how beat up he was after the scene, or if, everybody was just making the rounds of, I'm so sorry I did this. I kind of went too far. I was just in the role. I was being Joaquin Phoenix. I was too involved in my role right there. Too caught up in the moment and shit. Now the crazy part of the film, which was very much spoken about and alluded to, because it's still not clear, and I think that's part of the subtle genius in this film. I'm not going to say masterpiece. I'm not going to say one of the greatest things ever, but one of those subtle little remember the cutaway at the end of The Sopranos where we don't know if Tony got popped or not? It's one of those in this case now where we don't know if Joker, or Arthur in this case, was raped or not, or sexually assaulted. Even though it was made clear in the court while discussing, the records that weren't discussed with Arthur while being asked and or talked to by the psychiatrist, that he was physically and sexually abused. So they don't say who, not the mom. God forbid, that'd be a little too dark for this fucking origin tale of Joker, this version of Joker at least. But was he sexually abused by one of her ex-boyfriends? Where they, force him to do stuff with their dicks in his mouth, or his ass, worse, whatever. So now we're left to wonder what did happen in that bathroom, because they're being rough on him. They're ripping his clothes off. They're going to shower him. They're going to hose him down and everything. But they do force him down face first into the bathroom. We don't get to see him being forced down. He does joke about, at least buy me some dinner first when they rip his shirt off. But then you do hear him once they got him pinned down, and two guys are on top of him, and the lead, the fat old Irish guy that was cool and not cool with him, but rough with him when he wanted to be, basically, has got him face down on the floor. I forget what he said exactly, but Arthur didn't just start screaming, no, muffled. They cut away immediately to him being dragged by the arms, floppy body, no pants on. He's all wet. So they either washed him off because of the makeup, they hosed him down because they felt like it, or, I don't know, maybe they're washing bodily fluid off of him. Who knows? And it is true, I saw on Reddit when they were talking about it too, alluding to it. Did he get raped? Did he not get raped, kind of thing? There was the whole thing, well, he's got bruises on his legs. That's from, the cops, standing on his leg, or pinning his legs down when he was getting, washed, or his face cleaned off, whatever. It can't be. There's a whole lot of ifs and or maybes as far as if or maybe he did or didn't. I'm not clearing it myself either, but I do appreciate that, because that leads into him being broken enough, Arthur this time, to see it on his face, he doesn't want to be Joker no more. He's done being Joker. Because whatever did happen, either he got so fucked up or beat almost to death that was enough for him to get the message. Like, you're not Joker, you're Arthur, stop pretending, stop fucking wasting people's time. Or did he get raped? Did he get, a nice stick up the ass? Did one of the guys finger him? God forbid one of the guys fucked him. Just to send a message home. Kind of like to humble him. Because that was a crazy part in the, what was that movie? The Brutalist. Where they do show him, spoilers, getting raped by his boss at that point. And the boss did it simply to send a message to remind him that he's beneath him, literally, at all time, as he was mounted on top of him and fucking him in the ass. But, yeah, it's just one of those, like, it's kind of left to, like, the viewer's imagination. Did he or didn't he? I'm going to say maybe not full-on raped, but they probably beat him up a lot, excessively, and might have stuck like the tip of the nightstick up his ass. I don't know. Because immediately he regrets it. He's like done being Joker in his head. You can see it in his face. Because then you drag him into his cell. The other cellmates are like, hey, what the fuck did you do to him? He's like all messed up and wet, right? And then one of the kids he had made friends with, I think his name was Ricky. One of those guys starts like singing the song that the main Irish guard's whistling all the time when the Saints come marching in. Starts going crazy. The Saints are coming. The Saints are marching in. He starts singing. That caused the old-fashioned Irish guy, the main guy that apparently either, molested or assaulted sexually, Arthur in this case, to drag Ricky out of his cell, hold him up against the wall, and he keeps telling him to shut the fuck up because he hates hearing the song back the way the kid's doing it. But he's choking him so hard with his arm on his neck that he either broke his neck or he just gagged him to death pretty much, and the kid is dead. Meanwhile, Arthur's face down on his bunk bed in the cell, traumatized, you can see it in his face, overhearing the kid dying, like within earshot. So at that point too, it's like, in his head, it's probably just clicking all together like, I'm done. I can't do it no more. And also, while they're washing him and beating him up and everything too, and stripping his clothes off, again, like they have already done before. Like, they never acknowledge him as Joker. They're always calling him Arthur. When they're doing that, they say, we know it's just Arthur in there, drop the act, kind of thing. Because apparently they know he's giving into the audience and the pretty girlfriend and everything, too, that he's just trying to play up the Joker Part 4. So that leads into the next day in court for his sentencing now. He's still in the Joker outfit, a different color suit, not the red one, but still the makeup. He pretty much takes a stand, sits on a stool, and addresses the fucking the jury and everybody out there watching directly in the camera. He's like, he's done being Joker. It was all a fantasy. He was ready to go on a big-ass rant about being angry, how society did him wrong and everything. Then he says clearly into the camera, there is no Joker, it's just me. And because it's only on record that he killed 5 people, then he admits to, and by the way, I killed my mother, I put a pillow over her face in the hospital, showing how, poor the hospital takes security measures and such. I killed her while she was in the bed, and then they just dismissed it as, oh, she was old and crazy anyway, so good riddance, whatever. Once he confesses to all that, a portion of the people, the onlookers, the fans that he made as Joker, walk out of court, and included with that is Gaga and or Harley Quinn, because she again confirms and reaffirms this time around she only loved Joker, not him, not Arthur, not basic ass simple as Arthur, which he closes off as far as his closing statement. He ends it with a knock knock joke. Knock knock, who's there? A very solemn, very depressed, very sad Arthur. Arthur who? And then that cuts away to him on a payphone, his one phone call he's being granted before he gets fried to death, apparently. Well, they didn't officially say he's going to get the death penalty, but it's heavily implied now because he admitted to another murder on top of the 5 he's being convicted for. He's singing into the payphone into Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn's voicemail message, her voice box, whatever. The whole time, don't leave me, I need you, we're in love, while they cut to her listening to the message, just not answering the phone, holding a gun to her head. So now, of course, back to the courtroom and the end of the trial, where, of course, he's found guilty of all his murders. His coping mechanism kicks in. He starts laughing maniacally. He can't stop. One of the guys, apparently maybe one of the parents of the guys that he killed on the train and shit, goes crazy, tells him stop fucking laughing and attacks him. The cops get him off of him. He's standing conveniently enough now in front of the wall facing towards the windows. And then one of the worst, fakest looking CGI explosions fucking take place right now in the courtroom. Apparently there was a car bomb outside. Boom. But it looks so fake. It looks like Joaquin got yoinked to the front with some invisible string, the way the explosion goes down. It's one of the more questionable parts. Like, if this shit had a big enough budget, I think they could have done a better job making that explosion look a little more real. You know, not a real explosion to fucking kill the guy almost, but you know what I mean. It looks bad. Conveniently enough, Harvey Dent is there, and this explosion's so big and massive from one car bomb, it looks like the car was fucking strapped to the goddamn window, and then they blew it up from there. It was like so big and like took out the whole courtroom and most of the street too. Harvey Dent is there, and then he officially becomes Two-Face when, conveniently enough, half his face is burned off. Arthur climbs out of the courtroom through the rubble, through the smoke, through the debris and everything. He's confused. He's dazed. He's got that ringing in his ear you get when you get like a heavy blow to the head like that. There's a kid, or a fan of his, that's dressed up fully like Joker in the red suit and the face mask and the face makeup and everything. Leads him back into his car with his other friend there. They admit to having set off the car bomb. They were the ones that planned it out. And now they got the legit Joker himself in the back of the fucking vehicle. They're gonna, cause terror in the city. They're gonna do all this crazy shit. Meanwhile, of course, already we established Arthur's done being Joker. So then when they stop at a red light, he runs out the car. He makes his way out. He runs all the way back into the fucking later night, back to the Joker steps, where, Joker was born. Apparently she knew he'd be making his way back up there, maybe to see him, maybe to dance his way back down again, who knows. But there she is, there he is. All we had was a fantasy, but you gave that up. As he's like, well, now we can run away, we can be together, we can make a whole new life for ourselves, let's go, while they're looking for me actively right now, come on. She makes it clear again, besides her action of leaving the courtroom when he announces that there is no Joker, it's just me, she's making it clear to his face now, in case he didn't catch the first time, I want a Joker, I don't want you, you're a fucking loser. There is no Joker, you said that, so what the fuck am I here for? Then she starts singing something about that's entertainment. With the songs now, it's literally just her singing out loud, with a little music queuing up, but now it's him just tired of singing. I don't want to sing anymore, basically. So the fantasy, the illusion of escaping into, Joker land in his head with the music playing and shit, he's done with that. And at this point when he says, I don't want to sing anymore, it was probably most of the crowd like glad that the singing's done. Finally, what it seems like to be at the end of the movie. And of course she leaves him behind. He's all fucking broken and, in distress and everything. He gets caught by the police. He's arrested. Back to Arkham. And once back in Arkham, I guess some days or whatever, weeks later, he's all cleaned up again. He's an inmate. He's, done being Joker. Now he's Arthur, the crazy guy that pretended to have multiple personalities, that just so unfortunately happened to kill some people along the way. Funny enough, he's watching some Pepe Le Pew, which has since been canceled, oddly enough, because apparently he was an SA. He harassed women so much to get some pussy at the end of the day. But remember, and we choose to forget, he was a cartoon. It wasn't legit. He wasn't a legit character hunting pussy like that or harassing, cats that look like skunks like that. But whatever. I just thought it was funny they had Pepe Le Pew playing of all things. A character that got canceled not too recently. What was it, like? I think they canceled him right before the making of Space Jam 2 that no one asked for and no one needed, but okay. And he's got a visitor. As he's making his way down the long ass hallway to see this visitor, supposedly, and probably in his mind he's thinking it's Harley after all this time, whenever she, you know, ready to give him a second chance, is Arthur this time, not Joker. The guy that they cut to every so often that was like laughing or grinning at him as Joker catches up to him. He's like, "Hey Arthur, you got time for a joke? I just want to practice it real quick, see if it's any good." And he's like, "Okay, sure, but make it quick." And he's like, "Yeah, I can make it quick, sure." Starts going to the joke, basically calling him a hack, a pussy, a phony, a fake, a stan, all that shit. And ends with, of course, his favorite joke that he told to Murray Franklin before he popped him. You get what you fucking deserve, and starts shanking away at him in his fucking guts, which this guy's so skinny in the fucking movie. Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker, right? He's so skinny, I'm surprised how the piece of glass it looked like or whatever sharp object this guy used didn't pop up through like his kidneys or out his backside, basically, as he stabbed him. He was just stabbing him like for a good fucking 10 seconds, but he's got this little tiny fucking trickling of blood from his stomach. Maybe it was a visual gag. I don't know. The props department having fun. Who knows? But as he's slowly dying and bleeding out, he immediately flashes back to the part of his Joker land in his head where Harley had shot him in the guts, funny enough. He's slowly dying, and as he's dying in the fantasy with Gaga again after being shot by Gaga, he starts singing something about a mountain where part of the lyrics do hint at wanting to leave a son behind. So I guess maybe this is also implying that he knows he's dying at that moment, but at least he's leaving someone behind that could take the mantle of Joker and actually be Joker via the guy that just stabbed, the kid that just stabbed him to death right there in the jail. And again, this is why maybe it was an inside job with the guards. They agreed, hey, this kid's crazy enough, let's have him kill off fucking Arthur, and even if they try to pin it on him, he's even crazier than Arthur. He's worse than Arthur. He's here anyway, so where's he going to go? The trial? He's already in prison. Fuck it, whatever. We'll just write it off as like an accident, a slip-up. Negligent security work while on duty and shit. I get like a week off of work with no pay. It's worth it, whatever. That leads to that thinking. Who knows? And then it's off screen once he's fucking slowly dying, face down on the ground. It's off screen that the kid who just stabbed him starts laughing maniacally just like Arthur used to as his coping mechanism, but takes the same blade. And off screen, we don't get to see it. The crazy part is you didn't need to see it. You hear it. He takes the blade and starts like cutting into his fucking mouth from side to side to make the Joker, the Glasgow smile, as they call it. He's in pain as he's doing it to himself. Kind of moaning and shit, but then just keeps laughing towards the end. That cuts to the credits, where a lot of people at this point, some had already walked out on the movie. But then when it goes to black and starts playing the credits and shit, mind you, into a terrible, I'm sorry to say this, a terrible version of That's Life by Gaga herself. I don't know, she sounded off. She sounded like she was trying to do too much, but then had to remind herself, like, while singing, she had to kind of reel it back in. It just didn't sound good, to me at least. At this point, people are walking out like already up in arms. And a couple of times, I heard, at least finally remembering the first time watching this on the big screen, a couple of people going, "That's it!" kind of thing. Oddly enough, That's Life. But, I get it. I understand. But then if you stuck around long enough like I did, through the, again, bad rendition of That's Life by Gaga, you are treated to this very lovely version of True Love Will Find You in the End, sung by Joaquin Phoenix himself. Which at this point, like I did say already, he's got a pretty decent, surprisingly good voice. This version of it is very subtle, just a guitar and him singing. But really, like, feeling it. Like, he really felt the lyrics of this song, really probably felt connected to it, and really sung it with his heart, kind of thing. Besides Joker, besides Arthur, like, just let me fucking do my thing on this one. And it does seem like the very subtle goodbye from Arthur to his life. They left behind, which is really no one's going to remember Arthur or give a shit. They're going to finally remember, oh, that guy used to be Joker. Joker was so cool, right? Kind of thing. And then, all right, let's move on to the next fucking villain that Batman might eventually have down the road, kind of thing. And that's Joker Folie à Deux. That's Joker 2, pretty much. A very long, pretty much, but you get what I'm saying. Again, I'm going to say I did enjoy it. Did I love it like Joker 1? No. Nowhere near as close. Would I ever watch it again, like I have already plenty of times, Joker 1? Not because I relate to like Joker and I identify. No, it was like I actually enjoyed Joker 1 for what it was and Zazie Beetz. I did now, obviously, for the review. I want to say the third or fourth time I've seen it since, because I did watch it twice in theaters to gather my notes initially and be like, am I missing something here? Is there something not clicking with me or what exactly? But I did watch it again at some point, and I watched it now for the review to make additional notes. I probably would. I'd probably revisit after some time, though, not immediately. And I would probably watch Joker 1 before I watch Joker 2 ever again. And that's not to say that Joker 2 is so bad that I'll put it right after Joker 1. It is obviously after Joker 1. It's always hard when the sequel has to be immediately compared to the original. So it's not going to outdo it anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised, however, if this is just 1 year since Joker 2. If maybe 5 years down the road, maybe this gets revisited as something, maybe we were a little too harsh on Joker 2. Maybe we were expecting too much out of Joker 2 when we should have kept, within our realms and be happy with what we got. I'm not saying that either. It is different. It is a whole different thing from Joker 1, but not the good kind of different, like, what the fuck are you doing kind of different. Did we need this kind of different? And again, it alluding to the whole, I guess you can say conspiracy theory of Todd Phillips purposely sabotaging 2 because he hated how misunderstood 1 was, or a lot of the wrong people really took to heart 1 and made it their own thing as far as validating how it's okay to be a bad guy kind of thing. You know how that fucking came about with everything too. Like the whole mess that came with Dark Knight Rises, the stigma because of the shooting in the theater, because of that shit when they came out too. Unfortunately, sometimes the wrong people get the wrong things out of things like this. But I would say Joker 2 is something we've been a little bit too mean to. That's me, of course. You disagree, feel free to. We still live in a free country. So with that being said, the final score I would give to Joker. I gave Joker 1 out of a 69, which is my highest rating number. I'll give anything nowadays now. My new official score system. Out of a 69, I gave Joker 1 a 50. I guess that roughly translates to what, like a B+, like an A territory. I really enjoyed it. In all honesty, I gotta give Joker 2 Folie à Deux. Alright, maybe that pronunciation you want to give it an F or a 0 out of 69. I get it. Don't be too harsh on me, French speakers, please. The most I ever gotten in French was the French kissing part with the tongue action. If you want to judge that too, at least, do it hands-on. Especially all the ladies, though. Please, no guys. I'm not into that. Not there's anything wrong with that. Just, you know what I mean. I'm straight. But out of a 69 for Joker Folie à Deux, Joker 2, I'm going to go with like a 45 out of a 69. I want to say maybe roughly that translates into like a B, because I didn't hate it. I did like it when I initially watched it the first time, and I watched it the second time to make sure, is it just me? Did I miss something? Am I kind of like just, finally we get a sequel to something that was so good and shit, and controversial and shit? No, I'm still solid as far as like, I like it. I think it's good. I think it's just misunderstood. And I think people miss the point of just like, if you wanted Joker 1 all over again, you can just watch Joker 1 all over again. 2 has to be something different, not drastically different as they did with, the musical aspect and all the shit they did. It's still violent. Still got some blood to it. Still got some gore to it. Some, shit that might shock you or whatever. But yeah, not on the scale of Joker 1, not the initial kind of thing you got from Joker 1. But I think we're being too harsh on it because, there is the illusion of whether he did or didn't get raped, which is still being discussed to this day. I don't know about 20 years from now, like The Sopranos ending, but, close enough. At least there's something to it. Visually, just like Joker 1 was, a great looking film, a very beautiful looking film. Gaga was hit or miss, I'll be honest. I'm not convinced as her, as far as her being an actress, I mean to say. I'm not really convinced in that realm. She can sing, that's a given. But then also you need to be careful the material you give the singer to sing because that's life at the end. I didn't like that version at all. Some songs, it were like kind of a little too awkward for her to be singing. But then they got the high points like, her version of They Want to Be Close to You. I think that was very subtle, sweet, beautiful. Perfect voice for it. Joaquin, of course, is great throughout the whole thing. How could you not fucking like that guy as an actor at this point in time and how old he is and how long he's been doing it for? But him as Joker, really great role. And of course, with that too, hand in hand, I'd say Lee Gill playing Gary stole the show in the courtroom, made you really feel for him. Maybe one of the first times in both movies I felt actually sad enough to like tear up a little bit, the way he's like testifying to the PTSD he's suffering from, having witnessed Arthur do what he did, right, within like 5-6 feet of him and shit. Had it been a straight sequel, had it been a straight up just Joker's back, killing again, blood, stab, shoot, this, that, the other. Now Harley Quinn, they're fucking. And now Batman's looming in the shadows over a tall-ass building with a cape and shit. Could have gotten that, but I don't know. It would have been like a little too. Like a phoned-in job, I guess. This was way drastically out of fucking left field. Different, too, don't get me wrong. And it wasn't probably the best decision, I get it. But if you just remind yourself that the musical aspect of it is all in Arthur's head and not happening in real life, we're not trying to make it a Lady Gaga showcase. It just happens to feature Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, oddly enough. I think you can appreciate the film if you give it another chance, if you have already watched it. If you haven't yet, then I would strongly suggest you go into it with that mindset. Not that mindset, but I mean to say, just keep that in mind, I mean to say. Yeah, it's just really just Arthur playing hide and seek in his mental escape room as far as Jokerland being the Joker's concerned. So, with the musical piece, he says, excuse me. And I'd say, to close out with, I think he started regretting being Joker once Gary testified in the court. Obviously, with him being raped or not raped, or hearing the kid next to him being killed with the old guard's bare hands, yeah, I think Gary was enough to like snap him back into, hey, I'm Arthur, I let this Joker thing go too far, I can't be Joker no more, it's too much already, I've already compromised too many lives. Because he does say to Gary, I let you leave, I let you escape. It's like, yeah, but I haven't been able to escape the trauma I suffered as a result of what you did in front of me in cold blood, Arthur, come on. So it's a heavy thing to think about, especially, of course, did he or did he not get raped? Who knows? That'll be a mystery for another day, or I don't know, till the day I drop dead. Maybe one day Todd Phillips, like, what's his face? David Chase admitted to finally, almost 20 years later, that Tony did get popped. He did die at the end. Maybe one day Todd Phillips will be kind enough to tell us, okay, yeah, fine, guys, Joker did get raped in a fucking shower. That's why they fucked the Joker out of Arthur Fleck, literally. That's all it was. Fine, you want to hear it from me? There it is. I'm not going to say how, but he got fucked so much, they fucked the crazy out of him. All right, that's what you wanted. You didn't want no more Joker after fucking Joker 2 towards the end. Well, that's what I gave you. The satisfaction knowing that they fucked the crazy out of Arthur. No more Joker beyond that fucking shower scene. Maybe sometime later, maybe 5 years later down the road, we'll get that for the 5th anniversary of Joker Folie, Deux, Joker Part 2. Brought to you by me, Who This, here on Who This Been Watching. At Who This Is One is the channel tag, is the at for YouTube, Twitch, and the socials as well. Thank you so much for making it up until this point for this review of Joker 2. Hopefully I made some sort of case, fleshed it out enough to defend, not only defend Joker 2, but also make you reconsider it if you watched it and immediately hated it for not being Joker 1 again, or if you've chosen not to watch it because Joker 1 is still fresh in your mind enough where you don't want to ruin it with hearing Lady Gaga musical. I ain't gay. I'm not want to watch that shit. Give it a chance. If you like Joker 1, at least moderately enough, give Joker 2 a chance. That's all I'm saying. Not going to force you, not going to put a gun to your head or a gavel to your head or whatever he fucking used to kill people throughout the movie, at least in his head or legit. You get what I'm saying. Just consider it at least. And if you do, just keep in mind, all the singing, all the voices in his head on some Randy Orton shit. Appreciate you. Catch you next time. That's Who This Been Watching, and I'll catch you next time to tell you about what I've been watching, goddammit.
I saw this coming. And my God, I jumped on it with both hands and been holding on.
My ass! My ass!
When I think of asses, woman's ass, something comes out of me.
I don't eat ice, I kick ice! You stupid ice!
You cannot give up yet. You did not let me or my fat ass down, okay?
Yo, it's over. Alright, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you!
Alright.